All right, more potential cope brought to you by It's K Bakes.
Y'all are going to absolutely hate me when I tell you this, but please let me teach y'all the game. So boom, there was this guy that I was talking to and I never really liked him, but we were always cool. Well, all of a sudden, this man gets to acting super nonchalant with me. And ever since he's been acting super nonchalant, he's been in my head rent free, and I hate that shit, y'all.
Once in a while, they'll come out and admit the truth, and you start to realize the ego that's at play at all times. If a girl keeps you around at all, it means that there's some level of potential, whether from a value perspective or an attraction perspective, or both. If you were completely useless in her mind, it's unlikely that she would want to have you around in the first place. Once we accept that law, now we have to move on to the next one. Girls are so used to being desired because they live in a permanent state of hyper abundance. When that one guy doesn't give them the attention they think they deserve, immediately makes them wonder what the is going on. This is just basic laws of human nature. Women are attracted to power. True value is demonstrated through behavior, not through talking, or your career, or the number of M's on your bank account. Now, all these things could be an indicator of value, but they all fall short if you don't act the part. A lot of people will go to insane lengths out of their insecurity, even as far as make millions of dollars to justify why they're worth something. But in their behavior, they always remain scarce. This is often why a lot of guys have the question, how come that guy could be so attractive, have that much money, and still struggle with women? Because he's still insecure despite having those things. Let's keep going.
So the other day, I'm on the phone with my sister and I'm telling her about this man. And I'm explaining to her how this man has been in my head, living rent-free, just taking up space in my head. So my sis asked me like, well, do you think you like this dude? And I'm like, I've been thinking about him so much, maybe I do like this dude. Then when I'm on the phone with her, there was a long pause and my sister was like, you don't like this man. And then I'm like, you're right, I never liked this man. I don't like this man. But then there's another long pause and I'm like, oh my God, do you know what it is? And she's like, what? I'm like, it's not that I like him. It's the fact that I want him to like me more than I like him. She's on the phone with me looking at me confused as hell, like, what the fuck is she talking about? And I'm trying to explain to my sister, like, that's it. It's the chase for me. I never liked this dude, but since he's been acting so nonchalant, it's giving me the idea that now I like him more than he actually likes me. So once I get this man back on my nuts, I won't have a desire for him anymore. It was always the chase. Then I'm sitting there on the phone with my sister, y'all, and I'm like, nah, it's not the chase. It's about me. It's always been about me. And now my sister's looking at me like I'm a crazy person. And I'm trying to explain to my sister, like, once I get this man to like me more than I actually like him again, it's going to be an ego boost for me. And I'm telling her, this is nothing more than a chase to boost my own ego.
This girl's essentially now explained the fundamental difference between a girl that's only out there for attention and validation and a girl that actually likes you. For some reason, it's taboo to say this, but here's the truth. There is many women out there that have no problem using men to boost their own ego. They don't have any vested interest in him. They don't really care if he gains anything at all. They essentially just need him to validate themselves. A lot of times, this is how girls work through their droughts. They want affection, they want a guy, but there's no guy available. This can be one of the ways they use to get over their dry spells. This way they can meet all their validation requirements, but they themselves never invest anything, so they don't lose anything either. They're essentially setting up a one-way relationship. Guess whose fault that truly is? The guy's fault. The guy is always responsible for making sure that he's not in a one-way relationship. Unfortunately, there's too many nice guys out there that are going to forever just give endless amounts of validation for nothing in return and claim that it's the right thing to do. I guess we probably need to thank them for doing the dirty work.
Because the only person I'm thinking about in this situation is me. And my sister at this point is like, I get what you're saying, but you're insane. You're a true villain. And she's right. I'm making this video to tell y'all to be careful out there. It's a cold world we living in, y'all, but game is game, and I'm gonna tell you exactly how to avoid a person like me from destroying your mental. As soon as the person that you're interested in stops giving you the energy that they started off with, you need to leave. No ifs, ands, or buts. And once they start to realize that you're trying to leave, they're going to start to breadcrumb you back in so that you don't leave and that they can once again win. So, to avoid getting your feelings hurt, all in all, just leave, y'all. There are some people in this world, y'all, that are willing to breadcrumb you into liking them. And once they know they have you hooked, they feel absolutely nothing and they leave you hooked. Because at the end of the day, y'all, you were only a pawn in a game to boost their own ego. I hope this helps. Please don't hate me. I love you guys so much. Bye.
It's the unfortunate nature of reality, guys. It's not necessary to go out and be scared of this, but you do have to be aware that it's a possibility. It's pretty easy to screen this out if you have enough awareness about yourself and what's going on. As much as it may not seem fair, it's always your responsibility as the guy to make sure the girl is reciprocating what you're giving. If she doesn't, you're in a one-way relationship. And from the perspective of having a masculine-feminine balance, this makes no sense whatsoever. Sophia Banff, let's see what your dating advice is today.
I hate living in this nonchalant generation because if I could tell you that I loved you right now, I probably would. What do you mean I have to wait 30 minutes to...
Okay, and here we go with more lies, right? How often does this happen? I love you so much. You are my favorite. This only applies, and I'm going to be a little bit blunt and brutal about this. This only applies when the apparent value disparity is quite high. Okay? And I can talk about this from personal experience. I can talk about this from the experience of the thousands of guys I've coached at this point. I would say that when the value disparity between male and female is high, yes, they're going to be much more likely to say these things like, I love you and whatever, and be more obvious about their affection, okay? But as soon as we start getting close or the perceived gap starts to close, then you're in this position where you're not going to get this as much. So maybe she would do this to a very select few guys, but would she do this to any guy that she remotely finds interesting? Probably not. But let's continue.
It's to reply to a text. What do you mean I have to act like I don't like you so that you like me and then something happens? Why do we have to act like we don't like people for them to like us and then in the end...
So it's all power dynamics, okay? So you're almost there. Like a lot of these girls are almost there, but not quite all the way there. So the reason you do this is because if you're going to go for a guy that you don't perceive to be far beyond your level, you're going to play power games because then you want them to chase you and you want the dynamic to be extremely clear that you're the one that is the higher value party and they're the lower value party, and it's their job to permanently come after you and offer you tons more value in order to compensate for that value difference. That is why. Okay? The reason power dynamics exist because there's always a dom and a sub. Always, okay? And what a girl brings to the table in terms of her value and what a guy brings to the table in terms of his value is different, okay? There's different metrics apply. When the metrics are dialed in favor of the man, the woman's going to be aware of it on some level, right? And I mean, keep in mind, right? There's a bit of perceived value here. We're not going to go, plot an Excel chart, write down all of the different metrics for female, write down all the different metrics for male, try to, I guess, equalize the weightings of those two categories, and then try to put person A or female A versus male A, right? And try to compare. It doesn't work this way, guys, okay? There is some level of perceived value at play here, okay? So, back to the original point, okay? This is necessary due to a difference in perceived value, and the power dynamic is always at play. Therefore, it's important to recognize that when someone is chasing somebody, it's generally because they perceive them to be of higher value, okay? That's the gist of it. That was a lot of words. But if you want to go back, replay this section again, it's important to know the reason why one person is a chaser and the other person is the leader or higher value party, however you want to word it, okay? There's always one person that's chasing the other, always. It's never mutual chase or mutual runaway, okay? It never goes like this. There's always a higher value party, generally known as the dom, okay?
end up liking each other. Like, what's going on? Why do we all have to pretend like we don't like each other? I'm so full of love. Like, I need to tell everybody that I love them. Why do we have to act so nonchalant? I don't know.
To summarize this concept simply, when you try super hard, it signals scarcity. This is why being nonchalant is the way to go, okay? Signaling scarcity is a sign of weakness. When you're trying extremely hard and you have nothing to show for your efforts, it's automatically recognized as a sign of scarcity, okay? When you're nonchalant, regardless of your situation, people are going to question, why are you so comfortable and relaxed, even though what I'm seeing maybe isn't there yet? And now it gets deeper, right? It's automatically perceived as some form of confidence. Maybe they're on the way somewhere. Maybe they're on the path of getting to where they want to go. This is where it gets really, really deep, right? Because everyone's so used to the surface level stuff, right? And the surface level stuff just doesn't work anymore because people have abused that too many times. It's the same logic with the flowers, right? When you go with, as a guy and you buy flowers, it's now seen as a cheap trick to buy affection, which is why for a lot of girls, isn't effective anymore. They might say it, right? But it's sort of a test, right? If you're gonna buy me flowers without knowing me and show up and try extremely hard, are you really that great, right? Are you valuing me a little bit too much? Once again, it's that power dynamic I'm talking about, okay? The party that cares the least has the least to lose, right? So it is what it is. All right, we got Lexi.
I hate with a passion that I was born in a generation where it's not cool to show that you care for someone. When did that even become a thing? Why are we like this? When did we collectively decide that as a society that we're just going to be nonchalant and not show that we care? Like, that was the cool thing to do, because I did not vote for that. I have always been a lover girl. I've always expressed my emotions and my feelings. If I love you, I love you. I will tell you that I love you. If I care for you, I will show you that I care for you. And what's crazy is that's what humans are meant to do. We're meant to share, love each other, and be there for each other.
Okay, so that's all very, very idealistic, of course. It changed when the world changed. Thanks to social media, we have way more exposure to situations that have officially changed the game. Girls in the modern era perceive a guy showing interest as him being desperate. When a girl perceives a guy as being desperate, she perceives him as being lower value. A girl cannot be physically attracted to a guy that she perceives as lower value. You can say all this mumbo jumbo about how we're supposed to share love and whatever, but this is all very idealistic. Idealistic and not necessarily true. Survival is always number one. Then the feel-good stuff comes second. When it comes to survival, of course, power is much more important. The thing that they're never going to admit, of course, is that for them, as women, power is equal to love. When they feel that the guy is powerful, typically psychologically so, this is what creates the foundation for attraction. Being nonchalant signals that another person doesn't have power over your emotions. The more you think about it, the more it makes perfect sense. Let's keep going.
Now we're in this nonchalant era where it's like, oh, you don't want to message them too much, or you don't want to show that you care too much for them, or they're going to leave you. You don't want to give them too much attention. Oh, he took an hour to respond to me? Well, I'm going to take 2 hours to respond to him.
So this concept right here that you're talking about is purely due to feminism. So if you want to blame somebody, blame feminism. Feminism will tell you that women need to be exactly equal to men and they need to become more masculine. Not responding to somebody on principle is a masculine characteristic. When a girl tries to get even in this way, it's usually due to the fact that she's possessed by the masculine. She thinks that men and women are perfectly equal. If he does it to me, I have to do it to him. Unfortunately, this cannot be further from the truth. We're built and designed differently. We don't respond the same way to the same stimulus. When a girl tries to posture up, it's typically an attitude that she inherited from somebody else, whether it be society or her parents. It's rarely due to her experience. This is typically due to the fact that men are always sold as the bad guys and they have to always be defensive around men.
I'm just gonna play it cool. Why should we have to play it cool? And why do we have to play all these stupid little games with each other? The amount of TikToks that I've seen where girls are like, you don't want to show too much interest in him or you're gonna scare him away. Let him run away! Why is that a bad thing to show someone that you actually like that you...
It's definitely not a bad thing for a girl to display her affection towards the guy. We, on the other hand, have to be a little bit more careful. A huge percentage of women get turned off when we as men come off too strong. There's the risk it can come off as desperate. So you can do it all you want. We typically can't, especially not up front.
Like them. It's crazy. Why are we like this? It feels so backwards. If you like someone, show that you like them. If you want to respond to them in 5 minutes after they waited 2 hours to write you, write them back in 5 minutes. If anything, you're just being your true authentic self and they're just showing their true colors to you. Why would you ever want to dim yourself just to fit a societal standard that now it's normal to not care? Because it is messed up and it shouldn't be a normal thing. We should be showing that we care. And that's where the world is kind of falling apart, in my opinion, is people don't actually show that they care for each other. We need more of that. We need more kindness. And whoever I'm going to be with, they're going to be a reflection of me. So I'm going to continue showing that I care. And the right person will accept that. Bottom line, the right person will be the exact same and they'll actually like that quality. Because they should like that quality. I don't want to be with someone that doesn't like someone that doesn't show that they care. You know?
Any masculine guy wants to be shown that. There's not a single masculine guy ever that will say, I hate it when my woman offers me affection. As I already said, go blame the feminists that would prefer to play power games out of fear and anxiety instead of just doing the right thing. More often than not, men are just the mirror anyways. They reflect back what you give them. Not necessarily because they want to, but because they need to. Another one by Stariel Hope.
Men, pay attention because this study is going to give you a competitive advantage with women. So this study...
I hate to pause it so quickly, but I need to point this out right away before we even start. This will give you a competitive advantage with women. I thought that dating wasn't a game and that it wasn't a competition. Isn't that what a huge percentage of women online are going to tell you?
We looked at the differences between what men find attractive in women and what women find attractive in men. So men tend to prioritize physical attractiveness and health in their partners, indicators of fertility, while women value traits like intelligence, emotional stability, and earning potential. Do not be that guy who sees this and then suddenly says, oh, look, all women care about is money, okay? Yes, financial ability to provide is a factor, but there's two other really important things there, and I want to focus on one of them, which is the emotional stability piece. I started the Institute for Relational Intelligence, and we've been doing our own research there, looking into the emotional stability piece because it's a big one. It's way more important to women than most men realize, and almost no men are cultivating this, training this, developing this, which means that if you do this as a man, if you cultivate your emotional intelligence, if you train your emotional resilience and your stability, if you train that ability to provide safety within yourself and safety for a woman, you are going to have a competitive advantage. I know a couple men who do this really, really well because they're in my industry and they do not make that much money, but women flock to them. And there are a lot of men who are over relying on their money. So if you're one of those men who actually does earn well, but hasn't taken the time to cultivate your emotional stability, your emotional resilience, your emotional intelligence, you haven't found the relationship or you don't have the quality of relationship that you want yet,
What do I keep telling you guys over and over and over again? This video right here is in direct opposition to all those guys that like to pretend that looks are everything when it comes to women. Obviously it's not, and the real ones understand that. When it comes to emotional stability, of course, which guys tend to be the most emotionally stable? The nonchalant ones. Think of a guy like Future, for example. So many idiots have such a hard time rationalizing how a guy like Future can have such success with women. Of course, they're always going to blame his fame and money, but is it really because of that? Or is it because he's so nonchalant and he's unaffected by anything that anybody does? Women obviously perceive nonchalance as emotional stability. The crazy thing, of course, is that perception is legitimately correct. When you're the type of guy that's not affected by anything, of course you're going to be more emotionally stable. Don't listen to the wrong advice, guys. Be nonchalant. I promise it'll work.
that is most likely the reason. The world's top performers are starting to figure this out. Kobe Bryant was talking about it recently. Andrew Huberman was talking about it recently. If you look around, the people who are really paying attention are tracking that emotional intelligence training is crucial for the next wave of optimization. And I've spent
Be careful with this buzz term, emotional intelligence. A lot of people use emotional intelligence incorrectly. In this context, when she's referring to emotional intelligence, what she means is your ability to not be emotional or to control your emotions, however you want to word it.
the last decade reverse engineering these tools for efficient and effective ways to train emotional intelligence and teaching them to my high net worth clients. So if you want to learn more about this, go ahead and follow me because I've got a bunch of videos on it.
You have to be nonchalant, guys. This is the secret. I can list off a couple examples, even the ones that she mentioned. Kobe Bryant is a great example. He was extremely chalant when he was off the court, but on the court, he was the most nonchalant guy ever. He wouldn't get emotionally affected, and that's why he was so ruthless. As I've already said, guys, do not let them convince you that being nonchalant is not the way to do it. The only girls who are going to claim this isn't the truth are the ones that want to drain you of your energy to their benefit. You really don't need them in your life.